Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast. I am your host, April Chapman. Hopefully, you guys had an amazing Wednesday. I know I don't normally live stream on a Wednesday. I keep saying that like the last couple of live streams, I keep saying Wednesday. I know I don't normally live stream on a Wednesday. I keep saying it okay, y'all, I'm not schizophrenic, but I heard myself in my headphones and I was just trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Tonight, we will be continuing our discussion on the Bishop Lamor Miller Whitehead case. There have been new developments in this case, and if you are just now tuning in, I have been partnering on this topic with a good friend of mine, attorney Brian L. Ponder, who is a New York based attorney. And I'm about to bring him onto the live stream. Hey, Brian, how are you? Let's see if we can get you to mute your mic. Unmute your mic. Okay, I've unmuted you.
Here I am. Hi, April.
What's going on?
I'm full of the technical difficulties. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. We're just old. That's all. After 40, you just start slowing down. We're not the young little 25-year-old whippersnappers that we used to be. But let me just go ahead and check the live stream comments. If you are here, feel free to stay engaged. Tonight, I have turned on the comments for subscribers only. No special reason outside of the fact that I've been noticing that a lot of people that have been watching my content are not subscribed. And so I like a lively live chat. And so if you are in this live stream and you realize, why can't I leave a comment? It's because you have not paid your dues. Go ahead, hit the like button, and be sure to subscribe. The kind of content I am dedicated to creating is one content that honors God, but also keeps people informed. Just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I need to divorce my brain from observable reality. I use my biblical worldview to discern all aspects of life, including situations like this. So, welcome. Hey, Mark from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us. Shout out to those who are joining us on Facebook. I am actually streaming to a few other platforms tonight. And Brian, aren't you streaming on your platform as well?
Yes. Welcome to all of my subscribers.
Good
We're
deal.
also streaming there as well.
We're fancy pants tonight.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate that. So let's get into it. I don't want to belabor too long. Brian and I decided I'm praying we can put this to rest today unless something new happens. But we decided to go live again because what you guys do not realize is that attorney Brian Ponder here, before the judge gave her, correct? It's a she, it's a female
Yes.
judge, right?
Yes, it is.
Before she gave her ruling, Brian reached out to the plaintiff's attorney, Mrs. Pauline Anderson, who is the plaintiff in this case with Bishop Whitehead, the pastor in New York, who was allegedly, not only was he robbed a few weeks ago, but there's this litigation, this ongoing lawsuit that he has with an attendee of his church where $90,000 was exchanged. She claims that she gave him the money because he agreed to help her get a house, refurbish a house due to bad credit, and then there was supposed to be some money left over for her. Mr. Whitehead is asserting that no, ma'am, this was a donation. I don't know what you're talking about. And then the judge gave her ruling. Brian, go ahead and talk to the people about the conclusion of the matter and why you disagreed with the judge's conclusion.
Okay. So, can we pull that up? The exhibit, this actually document 17, or I could pull it
Do I
up.
have 17? I can add 17. No problem. Let me go ahead and
But
get it.
so this case was filed back in November of last year, approximately.
I don't have
I'm sorry. Actually, no. It
I don't
was.
have 17. I only have up to
Oh,
16.
okay. let me open it. I can actually.
Is your Adobe working?
Yeah, you're right. Right. I'm always having some issues, but let me open that up and talk about some of the documents in the case. So, all right.
Right, that looks nice.
All right,
Not that
y'all
we
can
were
see.
going for aesthetics, but you know.
Y'all can see that. But this is the decision and order in the case. But if I want to first, I'm gonna go back to when the case was filed. So this case was filed back September, actually, of 2021, and the defendants were served uh, right
October.
after. Yeah, October 15th was the last was when everybody was served, and they had a month to answer. So the defendants would be the bishop and his company, Lamor Whitehead Inc. Um, they never answered. The bishop never answered. His business never answered. So what happens is when you don't answer a lawsuit, you can lose by default. You can be entered into default, and the person suing you can get a default judgment. So the lawyers for Miss Anderson, who's the plaintiff, who's the churchgoer who gave the bishop $90,000 to help her fix her credit and to buy a home, she was represented by a lawyer, as you'll see here, Paul Rivera. And so her lawyer filed a motion to get a default judgment against the bishop. Now, before this motion was filed, let's see, the motion, the motion was filed in February of this year. Okay,
February
so
7th.
yeah, so just a few weeks ago, before that motion was decided, I did reach out, and this is when all the robbery, alleged robbery, happened. I did reach out to that lawyer to ask about this case because I was going to go on YouTube to discuss the facts of the case. It's a really sad case. You have a lady in her 50s who pulled out her entire retirement under the impression that this bishop would help her fix her credit and get a home because she had been denied the ability to do so. And the bishop allegedly helped her son get
Mm,
a home. So there was a lot of trust here uh, with the bishop from this lady, and she actually started attending the church according to the lawsuit. And then within just a few months later, she was pulling out her life savings and giving it to the bishop. Now, what we'll see here, just last Friday, the judge, who is Joy Campanelli, denied Miss Anderson's motion, the one that was filed by her attorney. And
mm,
basically, the judge said that she denied it because they didn't serve the defendants a copy of the motion. Okay. Um, I disagree with the judge's decision on this because when a defendant does not appear in the lawsuit, you can proceed for default without serving them. But that's a whole nother
right.
story. But I disagree with the judge's decision. Now, this can be corrected. Here's the thing. So what happened is the plaintiff did not win, and the defendants, the bishop, did not lose, but it's not over.
Mm,
This issue can be corrected, so they can file another motion for default judgment and correct this. However, they don't win just by default. In this type of case, they're still going to have a hearing regarding the damages. They're still going to have to prove to the judge that they're owed, that she is owed money and how much. So that's called an inquest. Is basically uh, the judge will enter default against the bishop, but as far as how much the lady will win, she'll have to go have a hearing before the judge to prove how much she should get exactly. And so that's the next step. So That's
Okay.
basically what's happening there.
Right. So just to recap or bring you guys up to speed, recently the bishop was asked when he was interviewed by rapper Fat Joe about this case. And I noticed something very interesting that the bishop said. When he was asked about, the parishioner and the money, he was very weaselly with his words and he said, and then he starts trying to elicit agreement or getting people in the live chat to co-sign that may have been members of his church saying, "Do we know her? This lady isn't a member of our church." Now on the surface, if you remember in the complaint to the listening audience we presented last week, the complaint indicates that she started attending the church in early spring of 2020. Was it 2020?
Yes, January
Early
2020.
spring. And then by April, the two of them start discussing the possibilities of her getting a house. She doesn't assert that she is a member. And if for those of you who are active in church ministry, you can attend a church and not be a member by not going through the formal membership process and being extended the right hand of fellowship. But it doesn't mean just because she's not a member, that's not the same as I don't know this woman. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, did he not earlier on the Fat Joe live assert that he didn't know her?
Yes. Last night with Fat Joe, the bishop basically denounced knowing this lady,
Right.
and he was very artful with his words, trying to solicit his amen corner from his church, saying, "Look, church members, do y'all know her? We don't know her."
Mhm. Which
Now,
is different than she's not a No, he was like
right.
first he was like, "She's not a
She's not a
member here."
parishioner. She's
Right.
not a parishioner.
But then he slipped
Now,
up and said he didn't know her.
right. So, and then I think, if I'm correct, did he go from she's not a parishioner to she's not a member?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because parishioner can be an attendee. Okay.
Mm,
I looked up the definition earlier today. A parishioner has a few definitions. One is a person who lives in a parish. That's not it. Or a person who attends or is a member of a church. So an attendee is a parishioner. Parishioners include members and attendees. That's by definition, April. I mean,
right.
I know we may use it to mean members usually, but it actually includes attendees. And so she, in fact, was a parishioner if she attended the church. I mean, we don't know, but as you see here, the lawsuit says she began attending the church January 2020. So she, in fact, is a parishioner. So that's lie number one. And what's
Right.
happened is with this alleged robbery, we really don't know what happened as far as who was involved, if it was staged or not. So that's where we start speculating. However, last night, in my estimation, is the first night we were able to catch the bishop in a bold-faced lie when he said, now, in fact, we don't know if she attended that church or not. So we really don't know if she's a prisoner. I mean, she alleges attending the church from January 2020. We were not there. Okay.
Right.
However, when he goes to the next statement to say she's not a member, we don't know that either, really,
Mhm.
because we don't know what paperwork, what membership requirements they have or what she did.
Right.
Then he goes on so far as to say, "Do y'all know her?" Speaking to his amen corner, his other members, and then he says, "We don't know her. We
Mhm.
don't know her." He repeated it twice.
He did.
As we know, we means you and I. He
Mhm.
knows this lady. Not only does he know this lady, he has communicated with her. He has received a cashier's check from her for $90,000. We have a copy of that check. So as of last night, we were full of speculation, but at this point, we know really who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a bishop who can be trusted, who is a victim. Um, we're dealing with a lying bishop.
Very
Okay.
deceptive. Right.
And we already know he was a convicted felon, but you serve your debt to society, you deserve a second chance, in my opinion. But now
Correct.
we're dealing with a truly uh, a lying person. Once a liar, you're a liar. he received this check from this lady. He communicated with this lady by text,
Right.
documented. Okay. Um, there's text, and he's talking to this lady that he claims he doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then there's text with the bishop and again the lady,
Ms. Anderson.
Miss Anderson. And let's see, this is a group text that included actually the son, I believe. But what we see here are messages from the bishop. Um, that's LW.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the picture of Miss Anderson. Now, the son is involved in this group text, but we don't see messages from him. It's just the messages that were between the bishop and Miss Anderson. So, yesterday we caught him in a bold-faced lie. All integrity, in my opinion, is lost with the bishop denouncing, knowing this lady. Um, you know, if he had any integrity, he could have said, "Look, he's working on dealing with this issue and giving this money back to the lady." But he did not take that position in April. So yeah, so that's what has happened so far. So now we have him caught. I say we, the public, we see
Right.
him in a in a clear cut lie. I don't know if he understands that we have the documents, the text, the copy of the check. The public's seeing this, so I don't know if he's so engrossed in himself that he can't even realize. Look, there's a whole record here.
Right. And I
That
mean, when I came on your show earlier today, I said that I had reason to believe that he was narcissistic.
hmm
He displays so many of the traits and the characteristics of one that is pretty much he loves the spotlight. It was every time someone asked him a question, he would, if it was in the negative, he would divert the attention away from him. If it was in the positive, he would welcome the attention.
sure.
Um, he was just the idea of being in the spotlight. Like these are just my opinions, right? But that was just something that I noticed. And these personality types, the flashiness, the desiring, the covetous nature of them wanting more, wanting what someone else has, was just something that I picked up. But the main reason why I brought you on today is because once you started digging into this case, you said, you know what? And just for the listening audience, Mr. Ponder reached out to
hmm
the plaintiff's attorney in an effort, as a professional courtesy, to say, hey, listen, let me help you out here. And we have copies of that email exchange, and we're going to go ahead and share that because I thought, and then also last week when I did a live stream, we offered the attorney the opportunity to come on the live stream with us. And at that time, he declined because he's like, we're not really discussing this ongoing litigation. And we get that. I wasn't expecting him to come on. However, when you reached out to him, I'd like to go ahead and read those emails if you want to start. Um, right. So is that the first one?
So yeah, so here's the thing, and again, I want to, you know, I'm not in the business of telling on people or necessarily disclosing. This is not any privileged information. This is just a communication I had with the lawyer. Um, I don't represent that lawyer. I don't represent any party. I was inquiring, trying to get a statement from him on the case. And on July 29th, so that is actually, so that's the
The day
day.
we did the live stream,
Oh, yeah,
but it
that's
was
right.
earlier in the day because I remember you reached out
That's
to me.
right.
It was like, "You know what? I'm gonna hit the attorney up, just see if I can get, if he and I could have a discussion." And so that was like at 11. We didn't do
R-
our live stream till later that evening.
right. So I emailed the attorney, Mr. Rivera, just saying, give me a call. You can see here he responded, "What is your relation to this case?" And by the way, this attorney is a partner at this particular law firm in New York City. Um, I told him, Mr. Rivera, I don't represent the parties. I've been asked to comment on the defaulted lawsuit and would like to discuss the procedural posture of this case with you. You don't have to put it in writing, but you can call me to discuss at my number below. I'm available uh, now if you're available. So procedural posture just means what's going on in the case at this particular moment. Now, unbeknownst to us, April, at this time, there's already been a denial, and this is when
Right.
that judgment motion was denied. So we didn't know that until later
Later.
when it was reported, and I went back into the system and saw that that was the case. So that's very interesting.
I was gonna say, Brian, just for full disclosure and
Hmm.
transparency,
Hmm.
I want the audience to see how, as an attorney, you were literally trying to take this conversation offline. Like, hey, we don't have to correspond in email. Like, just give me a call from one professional to the other. Let's talk about this. If I'm correct in assuming that was your intent, right?
Yes, as you see, I was asking him to give me a call because obviously, once you start putting it in writing, I can show it like this. So
Right.
as you see, I said, "Give me a call about the
Mhm.
case." He says, "Well, what's this about?" Well, look, I just want to know the procedural posture, what's going on, and I told him, well, I already told him I don't represent. Just call me.
Mhm.
You don't have to write about it. And then I followed up. I thought about it. I said, look, I want to give another option. I was like, if you prefer to attend on behalf of your client with or behalf of your client on the platform, I can send you a link where you'll be able to appear virtually to discuss. It'll air at 1:30. So yeah, April 1:30, we went on that
We
particular day.
did. Right.
And then you see he responded saying, thank you, but we're not commenting on the pending litigation at this time. And
And I
and
expected that. I was like, "Okay, I mean, I'm nobody, right? Now you're somebody," but I was just like, I'm a struggle streamer right now,
yeah,
just love Jesus, right? So I was just like, I wasn't expecting him, and he didn't know whose platform he was coming on anyway. So we
right.
expected that response.
Yeah, I really expected a call. Here's the thing. This case is against a public figure. So the
What
court of public
let's fix
opinion,
that. Technically, he
well,
wishes he was a public figure. No one really knows him like that.
I had no idea who he was, but he was pushed into the public as a true public figure when that church got robbed and it was broadcast and put on the news everywhere.
Right, right, right. But like most narcissists, they are way more grandiose than they are
Hmm.
in real life. In his mind, he's been this public figure. This is just recent. And
Yeah.
in narcissistic fashion, they love that. They want the spotlight. So
Yes.
yeah, go
I've never
ahead.
heard of him. So with public figures, it's very important to keep a certain public image. So with him being able to come onto YouTube or any platform that wants to talk about this case and to get the pressure on him, then I think that would be helpful. Like at this point, his his credibility is going to be shot once the news circulates that he took a lady's life savings and has not given it back, is calling it a donation. Is really the most despicable thing I've heard in a while, April, next to the abuse in some religious systems. This is a very despicable thing
It is.
for a pastor or bishop to do. I've never seen anything so egregious outside of physical abuse.
Right.
So just thinking about, I have a thing for people. I'm a consumer advocate. I've advocated for people who are killed and abused by the system. So when I take on things like this, voluntarily, it's just really to help people because people get taken advantage of so much.
Right.
And so that's where my interest is. I don't represent anyone. I'm not getting paid for any of this. This is really just out of the goodness of my heart and trying to see that this lady can get her money back. I believe she really can, but time is of the essence. This lady apparently doesn't have much money to take care of herself. So the more time that goes on, the more she's being damaged. So basically, the attorney was like, look, I don't have any comment. As you see here, I said noted. Thank you. Good luck. And let me make this bigger so you can see it better, perhaps.
See, he says, I know of him obviously, but I'm from Brooklyn and I've never heard of him. Maybe because I moved to the Bronx.
Uh huh.
Says, listen, my auntie and her husband, he pastors a church in Brooklyn, and they didn't know him either. So,
Right.
but they're in Brownsville. But actually, Brownsville is not that far from Canarsie.
Okay.
Like it's Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, East New York, and Canarsie. They're like so close to each other. Like you could just keep walking, and you're gonna run into all three of those.
Right. Right. That's funny. Someone's right there and hasn't heard of him.
Right.
Um, well, they have heard. Okay, never heard of him. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I certainly haven't. So I said noted, thank you. Now, so April, now this was July 29th. So here we are, August 2nd. By then I heard about the order denying the motion for default judgment.
Right.
And so I'm sure we had spoken to April about that. And then I circled back to this lawyer and said, hi, Peter. Sorry to learn that your motion for default judgment inquest was denied. So inquest is, again, the hearing you have after you get the default entry to
Right.
prove to ask the court for a certain amount of money to prove to the court, look, we should get this much. I think the judge got it wrong. You do not have uh, to serve a defaulted defendant in such a motion when it's within a year of their default. And CPLR stands for Civil Procedure Law and Rules. That's a New York rule, 3215G1. So
That's
that's the rule that says you don't need to serve a defaulted defendant. I have several cases on point that support this, which was not relied on by the judge. And so again, I'm here with a spirit of trying to help. And April, you tell me at some point, if the tone gets bad, but I'm coming trying to help you. I'm not representing the bishop.
well, well, because I know you personally, the opening
Yeah.
sentence, I was like, "Ooh, shady boots."
Oh, sorry to learn. Oh yeah. Well,
But actually, I
I
heard that. I
understand.
read that in both of your voices. The like, "Hey, like, I'm sorry, but I do think the judge got it wrong." But then on the
Right.
flip side, I know you.
Like,
You like,
yeah, you didn't want to talk about it. Now you
right,
losing. Right. Yeah. See, I'll tell you this. The other reason I wanted that lawyer to call me is because writings, text, emails, the tone can get really misconstrued. Like you said, April, you can
right,
you can hear it in two tones, like "sorry you lost, sucker," or "sorry you lost. Let's see if I can help." So
right,
that's why I really want him to call me, and I actually called him a couple times. I would say at least twice. Never got through, and then I emailed. Just started the email chain. So
right.
as you can see, I'm a pretty calm guy. I'm not really, confrontational.
Nope.
So I really wanted him to call because I think I could connect better with the gentleman versus me emailing, because you don't know what tone can be how you feel and how
At
you're
the
reading
time,
it. So
right, and
you
I
can't
get it.
and you can't understand.
In
Hmm.
professional settings like this, he could have I mean, I thought it was customary, attorneys reach out to one another all the time to
Hmm.
give their 2 cents. I mean, maybe I just watch too much Law& and Order, but it's just like, why take offense? Like, I'm trying to
Hmm.
help you, and
Hmm.
then so you'll go ahead and explain that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've had attorneys call me because they're having a case and they see that I've sued this particular person or entity and say, hey, I saw that you sued them, blah, blah, blah. And I'll take the call and we'll have a short conversation. It's no problem.
Right,
So, you know, but me reaching out to them, it seems to be a problem. So I don't understand. Uh, and just like in any professional setting, all the professionals listening tonight, we know how valuable it is to have more than one set of eyes and more than one brain to look at a certain issue. It's really valuable. Like April, when we get together and talk about issues here or otherwise, you know, it's very valuable to have two different perspectives because I didn't think about that, you know. And
right.
as this email chain goes on, you'll see what I'm talking about, and you all be the judge on on whether he should have picked up the phone and called me or not.
You should have picked up the phone. I mean, he should have
Yes.
picked up the phone. But go
So
ahead.
so here we go. I said, look, I have several cases on point to say why the judge got it wrong. Also, I think a memorandum of law for legal arguments is best to accomplish the entry of default inquest. Now, I said that because he included what's called an affirmation, which is basically an affidavit that attorneys can do. And within that affirmation, he was making legal arguments. That's not permitted. That is not permitted. You can't swear to the truth of a legal argument. That's supposed to be separate in a memorandum of law. And so, anyway, much legal argument was made in your affirmation, which I typically attempted to reject in cases by objection because a lawyer cannot affirm the truth of a legal argument. So I cite the case here.
So that is that what he was doing?
Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. He included his legal argument within his affirmation, which is improper. That's what I'm trying to tell him here. That's
Right.
wrong. And then I say, yes, I know New York lawyers do it all the time, but it's still wrong.
Still wrong.
Okay, like
You
people,
can't tell New Yorkers they wrong. They don't like that.
right? So that's why you should have called me. And I say Peter. That's funny. It's always bad when you call someone's name twice, right?
Right. Peter.
It's why I said Peter. My practice is focused around helping consumers with credit, debt, and foreclosure defense. Unfortunately, you don't have a breach of contract case. Peter and Miss Anderson sued the bishop for breach of contract. Where's the contract?
We established that on Friday that
There's no
there
contract.
wasn't one, and it doesn't mean that we're not saying that she's not owed this money. That is not the
No, but
overarching issue. What I'm trying to do is get Christians to understand the legal nature of this, take your emotions out of it because we know what the right thing to do. But you also need to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves, test all things, and be able to discern certain things. Legally, there was no breach of contract because there was no contract. And you'll see her attorney's defense. I was floored when I read this. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, this is just professional neglect. Like his E&O
Mm-hmm.
insurance needs to pay out on this one.
Sure. It's not over yet, but look, I
Right.
said, unfortunately, you don't have a breach of contract case because there was no contract. And I said, the judge may dismiss this at inquest or default entry or deny entry of default on that claim. Okay. So, what I mean by that is, look, I understand you can default the person,
Mhm.
but the judge can look at it and say, look, I understand you defaulted them, but you can't just
Get a
default
contract.
someone on a claim that's not proper. The judge still has the ability to say, look, there's no contract here. I understand they defaulted, but looking at the paper, there's no contract here.
Right.
Okay. All others, when I say all others, I'm talking about all other claims,
Claims.
you have a good chance to recover. So the fraud and all the other things that were alleged, yes, because there was no answer, you can likely recover on that. But I said the fraud is weak in that I don't see a lot of proof of the representation made that representations that were false. So in a
Right.
fraud case, you have to have some false representations. And
Mhm.
so in this case, the bishop just said, I'm going to help you improve your credit and get you a home. It hasn't even been a year yet. There's been
Mhm.
no time period. So where's the falsity? The time is not up. It's not like I'm going to do it within 3 months. So there's no falsity. There's nothing false there. And actually, the bishop, let's continue. Also, you have plenty of allegations that are not correct, including closing on the Saddle River home. Okay. Here's the theory of Miss Anderson and her lawyer. Okay, I
Mhm.
know, and I, I don't want to say Miss Anderson so much because the lawyer drafted this. He came up with this legal theory, but well, allegedly,
Mhm.
we'll say it represents them both working together, the plaintiff and the lawyer. But clearly, the lawyer drafted the lawsuit. Okay,
Right.
their theory is the bishop used that money to close on a Saddle River home. That's
It's the
the
Christopher
fraud.
Place property, right?
What's that?
The Christopher Place
Yes,
property?
the
Right.
$4.4 million property. That property did not close.
It did not.
It never closed.
We established that.
The family that bought it in 2008 still own
Still
it
own it.
today. The
Yes.
family that owned it in 2008 were the sellers on the contract. So, but it never closed. So they're still there.
Mhm. That's
So
their
that
house.
whole theory is shot. And it took us 5 minutes, April, to find that information during a live stream.
Right.
And actually, I can, I'll pull that up in a second. So this theory fails. And the second part of it was that, and the quote about a campaign donation. Then he said that the bishop used the money as a campaign donation.
That was in
Quote,
the complaint.
quote,
Right.
yeah, quote, campaign donation. That's false. That's false. He did well. The bishop, in a text, stated that any money given to him without a contract is basically a donation, not a campaign donation. We're talking about just a straight
Just a
donation. It's
donation. He
just,
never said campaign
yeah, just a
donation.
straight donation. And there's no evidence to say that he, in fact, used it and for his campaign. So it is really the basis of the fraud just doesn't add up. Um,
Right.
and this is from public record for the home, and just by reading the complaint, you confused. He's confused. The default issue those issues through. This is me just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, look, all the stuff you're alleging doesn't make any sense, but perhaps the judge may push it through because it's a default. Because stuff that just doesn't make sense is assumed to be true when you don't answer the complaint.
Right. Brian, did you want to address this
Mhm.
question right
Go
here?
ahead.
Dear World Christian appreciates your opinion, but he wants to know, is it usual that other lawyers accept unsolicited advice?
That's a good point. That is a good point. And I'm glad that person said that because, I used to be in the business of giving a lot of unsolicited advice to people. And it would always, one or two things would happen. Um, let me see. You would get in trouble
Mhm.
because you get people mad. Like if I tell April, like, I'm not you, April, but if I give you I'm sorry. This is what two things would happen. It would be unappreciated. One.
Mm,
Okay. Right now, my hourly, if you go to my website and book a call with me, it's gonna cost you $400.
just to talk to him.
$400. I used to have 30 minutes. I just have an hour consultation. It's $400. Okay. So if I'm in my area of expertise and I see someone with an issue and I give unsolicited advice, almost 9.5 times out of 10, it's going to be unaccepted, unappreciated. So that's one. The second thing that's going to happen is what you're seeing here, or will see here shortly, is going to be ill accepted.
Mm,
Okay. Ill accepted, meaning the person's going to get offended.
mm,
Okay. So that dear woke Christian, that's a good point because uh most lawyers do not accept unsolicited advice. And that's a good point. And is that a good thing? That's unfortunate.
right.
That's very unfortunate. Like, that's why people don't do things for people for free
Mm.
because you're
I,
not going to appreciate it.
and I would add from the Christian perspective, we should always heed wisdom, right? We
Hmm.
should seek wisdom out, like it's a treasure. And then also, we're not to think more highly of ourselves than we ought to. So if someone, whether I understand, in a professional you setting, you're like, well, I'm the professional. But when you have another professional, it would have been behooved him to say, well, you know what? Let me at least look into what this gentleman is saying, because it could have not only saved him the public embarrassment, but helped his client. Brian didn't mean any ill will, but I get it. But our pride tends to rise up in situations like this, which leads to the rebellion and shuts the conversation down. So, because this is the standard of truth, for my show, and maybe this might be beneficial for Brian's audience as well, you know, only a fool despises wisdom. That's what the scriptures teach. So it's just a prudent thing to accept wise counsel, right? Even if it's from someone that's, on the same playing field as you, or if they're below you. Wise counsel is wise counsel.
Right, I agree. I agree, and I really like the dear what Christian making these comments and statements. I see the post. So that's a good point. It's very and actually, I stopped giving free advice, unsolicited advice. I really do not do that
Mm-mm.
often, and because most of the time it's going to be unappreciated or ill received. Okay, unappreciated means it's like not taken seriously.
Right, and
Okay,
then you won't value it, but
yeah, it's
put
not
that
valued.
$400 price tag on it, they gonna
Yeah,
hold to those words like they the words of life.
right. You're going to really appreciate it at that point. It's unfortunate, and yeah. So that's that. Um, yeah. So in continuing with this email, I said, aside from your asserted claims, and again, y'all stop me if any of these words are, if you're trying to see what are you talking about. But asserted claims means the claims that the plaintiff had
In the
against the
complaint.
bishop in her lawsuit.
Right.
There remain claims for violation of the Credit Repair Organizations Act, which is called CROA,
Mhm.
and similar New York consumer laws. And so, what am I saying here?
You threw him a bone.
You have more claims to assert against the bishop to get this lady's money back. That's what that means, everyone.
Right, more claims than he realized.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. How do I know? I practice in this area. We'll get to that. Okay, this is a federal case. Now, what I mean by this is they're not in federal court now, but if you assert this CROA, you'll be in the federal court. Okay, federal court for April your rights. So, okay.
Huh?
No, I was reading the comments. Okay,
Oh,
this is
okay.
so I was basically saying this is a federal case if you assert these claims that you didn't. Okay,
The consumer law claims.
right, which
Mm,
is the CROA. The CROA part is a federal law, which could have supplemental jurisdiction for the state claims for the credit repair fraud and violations that Bishop Whitehead committed with the lady. That's the New York consumer law part.
let me ask you a question.
Go
In New
ahead.
York, you
Hmm.
know how Georgia has restrictions on
Yes.
credit repair, like, you
Yes.
can't legally, you cannot be a registered entity in the state of Georgia and offer credit repair.
Hmm.
I know you know the answer to this. Is New York equally stringent like that?
Not equally, but they have laws regarding this type of thing on the credit side. Yes, not as restrictive as Georgia. Is
Right.
criminal. Is a criminal. Uh,
But the reason why I brought that
point.
up is because people are like, why are y'all talking about credit repair?
Oh,
Remember, the bishop, according to the plaintiff's now I don't want to say testimony, her statement, she said that he offered to, because she knew she had bad credit, he offered to help her repair her credit in addition to acquiring this property, correct?
yeah.
Is that
So
why you're invoking
correct.
pro? Okay.
The lawsuit alleges that look, give me 90. That the bishop said, give me $90,000. I'll do two things for you. One, I help you improve your credit so you can buy a home, and two, I'll help you find a home, fix it up, and give you the change back after I finish do all that.
Right,
So
right.
so basically the lawsuit alleges that a part of the consideration for giving that money was that he would help her improve her credit. Okay. And we can pull that up, but that's where the credit repair comes into play. So if you represent someone that you can help them improve their credit, if they pay you, then now you've entered into a credit repair space. Okay. No matter
Mm.
who you are, bishop, company, person, whoever you are. Okay. So that's where that comes into play. And this is what the lawyer, okay, you're going to really see some things that are interesting. The lawyer put this in this lawsuit that this $90,000 was given for credit improvement.
He did say that.
Okay. So you're going to see shortly, I'll just continue. Uh, I offer, so this is me talking again to the attorney. I offer to help you with your current case and to co-counsel or to take on fully the remaining claims that you missed that may be filed in the Eastern District of New York. That's the federal court.
Mm, it
I
is.
think the lady can get her money back. Okay. So I'm letting him know. I think the lady can get her money back. Also, Peter, the accrual claims allow for attorney's fees to be paid. So I think that you will find it a viable claim to consider. Why is that important?
He ain't got to pay you.
Yeah, because now Peter has to eat off of this lady's life savings to get paid. So what if the judge says, look, y'all don't have a contract, all you get is $90,000 back. So what is he going to do? Take a third of this lady's life savings as his fee?
Mm,
You see how important this is?
yeah, you need
What
the CROA claim.
Yeah, what if the judge doesn't buy the fraud and say, well, he represented he's going to fix her credit and get her home only X amount of months have passed yet. He still has time to do it. She can get her money back. But so this is very, very, very important. And otherwise, this lady is going to lose at the end of the day, even if she wins, if she has to
Right.
share her life savings with a lawyer.
So let me interpret the
Go ahead.
legalese. Basically,
Okay.
Brian is saying it would have been prudent for this attorney to accept this wise counsel, include the CROA claims, because it would have allowed them to add in the attorney's fees, so that way she gets her judgment and the attorneys get paid, and they don't have to take that money from her 90,000 judgment in order to receive their compensation.
Right.
And doesn't it also afford for punitive damages?
It does, but you have to the court will have to agree that punitive damages are due, that there was a fraud that took place.
Right.
So yeah, if you can get $1 million in punitive damages, great. But again, you don't know how much or if you're going to get punitive damages.
Right.
So it would be great to have a claim that will provide that whatever attorney's fees you had are just tacked on, uh,
Right.
by statute.
So it wouldn't cost him anything.
Mm-mm. So and he could have done all this in that same lawsuit, or can file another one. He can file another one right now. Or this lady, by the way, if y'all know this lady, she can call me, and I can file another lawsuit just to get the credit repair side of it asserted against this bishop and get her money back. So if anyone out there knows Miss uh, Pauline Anderson, I
So
think
holla
she's
at your boy.
holla at me. I think you're
Right.
leaving money on the table. Um, Give me a call to discuss it. 646-450-9461. That's my number. If you have no interest in pursuing the other claims, may I contact your client about them? Give me a call to discuss any of these things, as you do not have to email. Trying to get him out the email so that we can speak frankly.
Right.
Um, with
I knew that. When I read that, I was like, he's trying to move this conversation offline.
Mhm,
He's trying, and he kept responding. I was like, well, if
right,
you don't pick up the phone, pick up the phone.
right. Um, you see, let me skip 1 second. Let me skip down a little bit.
So while you're doing that,
Hmm.
um, I have a word
Go
from
ahead.
our sponsor, if that's okay.
Yeah, great,
Um,
great.
this live stream was sponsored by Echo's brand clothing. Um, Got to pay bills around here, so let's roll it. Alrighty, you guys can use the Standard of Truth podcast. That is my discount code. You can go and visit beingecho.com. Every single shirt that they have is on sale now. If you buy 2 shirts and use my code, you will get free shipping. First of all, if y'all haven't seen these shirts, they are completely amazing. But Echo's brand has sponsored this live stream for today. So just wanted to put that bug in your ear. Just folded my Echo. See, in the shirt, in it nice, in it soft. A million washes, it's gonna still feel the same way. So anyway, yes, we got Echo's commercials now. Absolutely. Set for it's a dope shirt. Yeah. Brian, I'm gonna actually get you one. You will love these
Hey,
shirts.
great. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Let's
Thank
go
you.
back to a regularly scheduled program.
Okay, so I've changed offices, by the way, in New York. I changed. I'm by Central Avenue, Central
Uh-oh.
Park now. So
I
I have a new
see.
office right by Trump's building.
Let's get it. Too bad we aren't
So
Trump's economy.
right. So yeah, right in Central Park. So visit when you get a chance. So next, so okay, so you see I email the lawyer. Here we go. So now he's ready to talk, as April laughed. Now that he's ready to talk. So Peter emails me, "Hi Brian, I appreciate your insight and thanks for sharing it with me. However, I don't agree with your assessment that there was no breach of contract or fraudulent misrepresentation because Whitehead made an oral agreement to invest her money in a property to which she gave $90,000 consideration."
This
Okay,
is horrible. This one statement right there
so
made me throw the phone.
this is where you have to step back and really question this lawyer's abilities, because you see, oral agreement and property in the same sentence. Oral agreement,
Horrible.
property. There's something called statute of frauds. Okay. Every state has its version of statute of frauds. Statute of frauds means certain oral agreements are unenforceable in court.
Non-binding.
One of them include any contract dealing with real property is unenforceable. And in most states, any contract dealing with doing something above $1,000 is
It's
unenforceable
unenforceable.
in court. So look at your state. You can search your state. You can say Georgia statute of frauds. It'll tell you what that means. So oral agreement to invest in for property is unenforceable in court. All right. So that's one thing. And the fraudulent misrepresentation. Now let's see how he fights me on this or opposes me on this. It was fraudulent because upon information and belief. Now, April, anytime someone says that, well, you'll see me. You'll see what I say. But
Right.
basically, when people allege upon information and belief, that means they do not have personal knowledge about it. So basically, you don't know what I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is what I think. This is all
Right.
that means. It was fraudulent because I think he used the money to purchase the New Jersey property. April, but he didn't.
He didn't.
All right. And then look, he says if he did
And
not
you
close
told
on
him
it,
that.
yeah. So he says if he did not close on it, so be it. So be it.
So be it.
But
No, then it doesn't count.
right, but he showed a fraudulent intent. Okay. Fraudulent intent, you can't
But
get
you
into the
can't
mind of a
connect
person.
his just because he signed a purchase and sale agreement to buy
You
property.
don't know what money he used.
You don't. You'd have to prove that he used her money to do so.
Yeah.
Like he's arguing this like my 12-year-old would.
Yeah. It doesn't, it's just so speculative by signing a
Actually, not
contract
as
to purchase it. So he's saying it was fraudulent typically to sign a contract. So look, just because you have money to his business, what his business goes out and buys, that doesn't mean it's your lady's money, your
right.
client's money. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just really, it really got silly to me here. He has absconded with my client's money. He really hadn't absconded because he goes to church every Sunday. He
He
goes
just
home every
finds him.
night. So he's not lost. And you can just go online and see him talking to Fat Joe and Ja Rule, everybody. He's not lost. And has not returned any part. That's true. He has not returned it,
Yeah.
nor provided any proof of investment. All right. Well, all right. No one said he had to provide proof, but anyway, that's another
No
topic.
contract.
All right. In fact, he claimed in his text messages that we filed as exhibits, and I showed you that earlier. We should see
Mhm.
again to the complaint that it was a donation to his Brooklyn BP campaign.
No, he didn't say
Did you
that.
see anything saying it was a donation to his Brooklyn BP campaign? That's
No,
borough president.
it just said donation. It didn't
Donation, a
say
true
donation to my
right.
campaign for borough president. He didn't even use a
It's
personal pronoun and said my campaign. He
no
just said donation.
capital
Period.
D.
And I know people are like, "Oh, this is so shady." It is. It's
It
very
is
sleazy.
very shady.
But words have meaning. We serve a God invented languages for a reason, and
Mm-hmm.
words have meaning. You cannot be lazy in language. When you're lazy in language, things like this happen.
Is very shady, but the lawyer should not be mincing words and getting confused. Like this is like you said, your son could do a better job at arguing this thing than he is.
Right.
But he has now come out on social media stating it was an investment into a real estate venture. Okay. Okay. So, okay. Well, okay.
Which one?
Well, okay. Well, that's in line with what he allegedly promised, right? All right.
Right.
Right. I'll take your money and invest it and fix up a property and give you the change back, which first of all, makes no sense. So you all, if something sounds too good to be true, run it by someone else. Stop being so prideful and trying to do everything. Run it by a professional.
Right.
Okay. And
There's a
pay him because you don't appreciate it. Like my advice, you don't appreciate it. Some of y'all on here now are not appreciate what I'm saying because you listen to it for free. You think I'm just some regular person.
right.
I am a federal civil trial lawyer.
They
Have
didn't get
gone against billion-dollar companies and won.
Amen.
Okay. So I'm on here because April's my friend and I like helping people. But a lot of you on here just listen to me thinking I'm just shooting a breeze. This is real advice,
Right.
real analysis that you get here. So,
There's a theory in the chat.
mhm.
They think that this attorney is purposely throwing the case and that the reason why Whitehead doesn't have an attorney because this case is fixed. And I don't know. That
Yeah.
I
Well,
wouldn't be
yeah, that's it. That's that's you have the right to think what you like and by the way, this attorney, April, and she gonna get me, but the attorney is not from the same community as this lady. Not to say that that makes a difference. I just don't think that this attorney is connected and understands what's going on here, like I could.
possible. That's possible.
I think cultural differences are real. It's not a fallacy that some people just don't understand. Now, this is a legal case, yes.
He's not supposed to be able to identify
It's
with
not.
her culturally. He's supposed to defend his client.
It's supposed to be a legal case, and and
Right.
and 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 I agree with you all the same. Well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, we have to do another show on that. We have to do another show on that. But there's been some cases. This person, and thank you, Chicken Grease, which is
Right. Her
a
name is cool, isn't
great
it?
name.
But no, you
Uh,
can speak freely. I
well,
opposing viewpoints on this platform, and we're simul streaming, so it's
okay,
okay. Even if we're gonna disagree, it's fine.
okay. So here's the thing. I have friends who run multi-million-dollar companies that were involved in litigation.
Mm,
And for some reason, when they had a legal issue, went to the other side of the track
mm.
to get help. Actually, I'm going to say other side of the track, but did not come and say, Brian, what do you think about this? I didn't hear about it until everything hit the fan. They
Mm.
spent tens of thousands of dollars with a lawyer not of
Didn't share
their
their ethnic image.
that did not share their image, and basically their case, if I would have seen the case, well, by the way, it had hit the fan by the time I saw it. When I saw it, within an hour I was able to determine the legal theory that would have gotten that case kicked out of court. And matter of fact, two months before that, I had got a similar case kicked out of court. Well, under the similar theory that would get it kicked out of court, and I had a whole order. Actually, yeah, that I had another case that got kicked out. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, and the lawyers they hired that were not culturally similar to them were top-notch lawyers. These lawyers were not dumb lawyers. Mr. Rivera, I don't know him, but he's a partner. He owns a law firm. I give him the benefit of the doubt and trust that he's a competent lawyer. My friends, millionaires, run $1 million companies who hired these lawyers, the lawyers that they hired treated them, in my opinion, like some niggers.
Oh, it's a ninja
nigger treatment.
I can't breathe.
Okay.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Brian, because I've seen it the opposite way too. I have. I've seen where they've gone to the ones that look like them,
well,
and then they end up having to go to the other side of the track to get the results. So it really depends.
Well, it can go both ways.
It can go both ways.
It can go both ways. You can hire your kind and still get treated like some niggas.
Right. Right.
So so you have to be real careful. So what do? You stay on your, you stay with yours and get in treatment, or go with others and get in treatment. What do? It's really tough. You need a friend, like you be like April. Have a good friend. Have a lawyer friend.
Get someone on referral.
Get a lawyer. Have a friend. Have someone you trust. Just like a mechanic. Just like
a good CPA.
A carpenter or whatever the case may be. Whoever. You have to find someone you can trust, but you have to be careful. Are they laughing at me?
Oh no.
They're so shocked. They're so
right,
shocked.
Right, yeah.
Did he really say that?
I'm sure you said it. Like my breath paused for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, but
I'll recover.
But I'm telling you, I the reason I say that is because we talk about competent lawyers. What they missed an arbitration clause. So the arbitration clause we got to kick out of court. It's the most basic thing. The only thing I can come up with is nigga treatment. It is not. I cannot. You don't miss something like that.
So you think that's what this was?
No. Well, so I can't prove it. So back to Peter Rivera. I think this is just unsolicited advice. Now, because as far as his affirmation, being out of line, I think that's a bad habit of many New York lawyers that just don't know what they're doing. As far as serving the bishop, I don't think you had to. So right now, I'm collecting my change so you can talk to Ponder. That's funny, dear wrote question. That's so funny. So as far as right now, I don't believe that Miss Anderson is getting the nigga treatment that I was referring to earlier.
Brian, can you not?
Right. I don't
people who know me personally knows that is a word I struggle with.
I don't use it loosely.
Like meaning
I don't use it loosely.
People who look like me. It's just
I'm not referring to color here.
Right.
I'm not referring to color. And I don't use that word loosely. And we're on YouTube. I'm not using it loosely. That is the only concept I could come up with to explain how these lawyers that were paid tens of thousands of dollars miss something so simple. Because if my friends were of another hue, this cannot happen. Their law firm would have been shut down. Their bar licenses would have been really compromised.
That's how I said. I'm like,
but it can go both ways.
Not in errors and omissions. Like it was just negligent. Like, dude.
Right. Let me see. I'm starting a BMAC to fund my people trying to. Yeah. So okay. So back to Rivera. I don't think it's a in treatment with this. I just think that first of all, I think the judge got it wrong. I think he'll regroup and try to make it work. Now, with respect to me providing him with additional, pray for Mr. Y'all pray. That's so funny. Y'all pray for me. We'll pray. We can pray together.
Okay.
I think that the part about me giving him some additional claims that he forgot about, and we're going to continue reading, I think it's just an unsolicited advice defensive mechanism, which is very unfortunate.
It is. It's prideful.
It's very unfortunate. And it happens I'm telling you, it happens all the time. I used to be, as we grow, April, I used to be, I became a lawyer and got a lot of experience, and I see things and I say, hey, blah, blah, blah. Stop doing it. You can't do it. Like, April, you're an insurance professional, you're a business owner. Imagine walking up to someone and giving them some advice about their business. They're like, girl, go, girl, bye.
I do it all the time. Maybe that's
And what they say? What they say, girl, bye?
No,
Oh,
well,
okay. They
it
accept it
depends. If
with
we
love.
have a relationship, most times people
Mhm.
will call me and ask me. But just in passing, if I see something, I have a way where I can word it so where I'm like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just saying, if it were me, I would do this, that, and the third, because when this happened to me last time, this is what I did. And then
Mhm.
it's received a little better. But lawyers, y'all have a different
Mhm.
lingo in the way y'all communicate. I would have thought he would have loved that free advice, still thrown you a little shade, but took
Mhm.
it under advisement.
Yeah, he could have made the call. Yeah, us lawyers, we do have networks. I'm out of his network. I don't know him. We have listservs in my practice
Mhm.
area, and we bounce things off. But again, I'm not in his list. He doesn't know me, so he got defensive. Let's continue his Peter's email. Also, I'm not sure your CROA claims are applicable here. Okay. Okay. So he's saying, I'm suggesting CROA can be applicable. He's saying, I'm not sure. Um, so not sure
Yeah, because
means you just don't know.
he deals with more real estate and not
Okay. Yep.
consumer law. But if you told him this is the type of law that I am familiar with, he probably should have took the CROA claim a little bit more serious because you've
Hmm.
done it.
Now listen to this next statement. Although he connected my client with to a credit repair agency at the beginning of their relationship, Whitehead himself never undertook to fix her credit himself.
That's possible.
This flies in the face of what they alleged. There's an
Yeah.
allegation in the lawsuit, April, that we can pull up that says, in exchange for the $90,000, the bishop promised two things. One, to help to work with my client to improve her credit,
He
and
did
two,
say that
yeah, and two, to locate a property, to buy the property, to fix up the property, and
and give it what's
give
left
them and
over.
give it a change, which
Bam,
is the craziest thing in the world. So this
bam.
is crazy. So you're what? He promised to fix her credit. Now, whether he does it himself or outsource it, that's not the case. But look, give me your money.
And I'll
I'll
do
fix
this.
your credit and get you a house and give you your change back. Okay.
Do you think that maybe maybe it had been a while since his
Mhm.
eyes had seen the
This
complaint and he kind of forgot?
no. I think he might be giving me some end treatment at this point because he must have gone to my website and like
He's this brown person,
this
this
brown
darky.
this brown
This is really inappropriate.
this brown person. I know your channel don't like this, but this brown person, how dare him try to tell me something? Okay,
Yeah.
and you're a solo guy. You don't what man, look, man.
Do you know who I am?
Uh yeah, he doesn't know.
Maybe.
The money, okay, next. The money she gave him was for an investment in a property that he claimed he was going to make for her, not for credit repair. You dummy. Are you serious? Your complaint says it's for credit repair first. That was the first
That
thing
was
it's
the first.
for.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
he did make a
And I'm
list.
sorry, and I don't use the D word.
You
it
use the
upsets
N
me.
word a lot, but not the D
I
word.
don't use any of those words a lot. I get really passionate when, first of all, people are taken advantage of, and then the people that are supposed to be protecting them are acting dumb. Are
Right.
you serious, dude? Your complaint says the money was for credit repair and real estate, a property, and to get the change back. So I'm really at this point, as you can see, I'm really, and I'm not trying to be triggered. I really don't, try to, I have I like getting excited sometimes. It's, I have control over it, but I'm just saying this is ridiculous. I
Yeah.
don't want to conflate those arguments because I don't think it would stand scrutiny. Okay, if y'all don't know what that means he doesn't want
Add the
to
case.
add the credit issue in, but he already did. It's
Yeah.
already in there. The complaint says he took the $90,000 to improve her credit and to get a house. It's already in
It's
there.
already
What
in
are
there.
you talking about conflate? So now he's talking crazy. He's talking crazy. Now it says, I appreciate your offer, but we're going to move forward with our case in chief. Well, first of all, who told him not to move forward with his case in chief? I said,
Let me help
let me help you. And I said, there's some weaknesses in the contract claim.
you. Mm.
Now, maybe, maybe you can, just not argue for any money for breach of contract. And, but anyway, when I read this, reading it now, you know, I still feel it this way, but I felt like he got defensive
Right.
because he basically saying no, thank you. Because first of all, you said you're not sure about something. Well, I'm offering to explain it. Call me.
Hey.
And so you saying you're not sure, but I appreciate the offer, but no thanks, but no thanks. So now, as a lawyer, I've just told you how you can get some more money. So now I take it as defensive. So as you'll see, this is my response. Peter, I recommend you call me.
It start getting stankin' ugly here.
Right. Just call me. A and I said a brief search of the New Jersey records show that the property never closed. The property I'm talking about is the property he's saying was
Christopher
closed.
Place.
Yeah, Christopher Place, where the money was. He's alleging that the money was used to buy. The listed sellers are still owners since 2008. He did,
Right.
however, spend 4.4 plus million in another deal elsewhere,
Right.
giving him a little information that maybe you want to really rethink. If this is your theory,
Right.
maybe
There's
use
a
it for
bone.
this other property. You can call me
Right. He purchased that property
in
in
Connecticut.
Connecticut, the
Right.
apartment Whitehead Estates.
Yes. So I said, sure, you don't or won't agree with the holes I've pointed out in your case. That's just pride.
It
You
was.
you allege upon information and belief, and even type it below because your client has no personal knowledge about what she's alleged. That's pretty strong, but it's true.
Right.
That's the whole point of alleging. And then he typed it too. If your fraud is based on, um, I meant to say the money being used for something that it was not, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Signing a contract to buy a house doesn't mean her money was used. That's simple.
It is.
Your kids know that. I'm not trying to bring your kids back into it, but
It's okay.
children. I mean, this is child's. This is elementary.
Right.
Like if you give me, like April, if you give me some money and I go out and buy a house, it's pretty silly, I would think, to think that I'm using your money. I don't have any money of my own.
Right.
Like, okay, so just because you gave me $9,000 every time I spend some money, that doesn't mean it's your money. It's not like I was on zero.
Exactly. And plus,
So
you would have needed a down payment for that in a conventional
right.
loan, 10%, which you would have
Hmm.
needed 440. No, well, the two
Well,
wait.
let's think about this. That contract for the 4.4 Saddle River home, the down payment was $100,000. That was the initial deposit that
Right.
was claimed. So
Did he
the
lose that?
we don't know. We don't know if
Right.
that was, there can be contingencies and could have just terminated that agreement. We don't know. We
Right.
just don't know. Also, the text don't say that it was a campaign donation. You may have misread it. It just doesn't.
It doesn't.
It was he was inferring donation to be something that is not, but it doesn't say
Made
that.
an assumption.
It does say donation, but you added the campaign part, Mr. Rivera. I never asked you to abandon your case in chief. I said you have more, which even provide for statutory fees. Now, what I mean by that is statutory attorney's fees, meaning you can get paid on top of your client's money so you don't have to eat some of her money.
Right.
That's what that means. I'm not sure why you're taking my input as adversarial. That was me,
You trying to like
that's labeling in terms of what if you all that's labeling. Um but that's how I felt. I felt that he was being adversarial. And that's a negotiation technique so that you'll see what happens when you label someone by his response. But I'm offering to help or to allow me to take the claims you've missed. So just that I can help you, or look, just send me the claims that you're not going after, and I'll go after them. It's not going to, it's totally separate.
Right.
Not going to affect your money. Refer the lady to me. That's what I told you.
Offered another bone.
Refer the lady to me. I'll pay you a referral fee. Okay. Or let me know if I can contact her about claims not asserted. I don't think I need permission under the rules. We're talking about professional rules here, but I think it is courteous to ask. All right. My number is this.
Can we please get the likes up on this video?
Get the likes up now.
Mr. Ponder is laboring.
24.
I'm sitting under these hot lights at what time is it? 10:17.
It's after
The
everybody's
least we can do is get a like, right?
Come on now, get the likes up.
Thank you.
My number is this. Call me. I'd help win the case and another. That's funny. It's I'm serious though. Criminal charges should be filed too. This guy is I think it's a fraud. Fraud is criminal too.
Okay.
Right. Theft by conversion is criminal too. So I think his late should probably be supported. All right. So here's Peter back. Brian, first, I'm not being adversarial. So the labeling, when you label someone, this is what happens. Like if I say, April, if you're talking to me a certain way, I say, April, I know you're upset. What's the first thing you're gonna say? I'm not upset.
I'm not upset.
Right. You see what I'm saying? So that's some labeling. Anyway, I'm stating my position on your comments. Okay. If you see is adversarial, then it's unfortunate that you see that way. Secondly, I don't need to prove that he closed on the New Jersey house in order to prove fraudulent misrepresentation. I only need to prove he made a false statement, induced her to invest her money with him. All right, what's the false statement then?
Right.
Okay, with him to purchase her house for her, and that she relied on it and was injured. All right,
but you still can't prove it because you don't have a contract.
Yeah, but what's the false statement though? The statement was, one, I'm gonna help you improve your credit, and two, I'm gonna buy a house, fix it up, and give you the change. There's still time to do that. So where's the false statement? That's what he said. There's only two representations according to him to get that money, and he labeled them 1 I and 2 for 2. I'm sorry, 2 I's for 2. Thank you for your concern in this case, but I don't see how the CROA or other consumer claims are applicable here. All right, this is the second time he said he doesn't understand. He's not sure about the CROA, and he doesn't see how it applies. All right, April. So then I respond, okay. I said, Peter, okay, you're not adversarial. All right. I just went ahead and diffused that label or accusation. All right. You're not adversarial. If your theory is limited to good intent,
to use money.
It may be a typo, but intent to use the money to buy the Saddle River house, then it fails because he didn't do it.
He like, boo, dude, he didn't close.
And I said, you don't see the CROA claim because you're not a consumer lawyer, but I am. I am at a loss how you are okay leaving potential claims on the table. So I guess, is that bad tone? I don't know.
No. At this point, you were pleading with this man.
Like, dude, you don't see it because,
this is not your area of expertise. Yeah. I'm trying to help. It's kind of like you have a child that just learned how to tie their shoes and they're struggling. They're getting mad with the shoe and you try to come and help and they push you away and you like, I'm trying to help you. And then they throw a whole temper tantrum and you're just sitting there like, look at you. Just look at you. I'm trying to help. If you would just relax, step away from the shoe and let me help. But, sorry, that's mom and me coming out.
No, I completely agree. Peter emails me. Let me see. What's the time here? 12:03. 12:10. He emails me back. Brian, we're done.
Peter done. Peter done pulled out his sword.
We're done.
He ready to chop off Malchus's ear.
We're done.
Done.
We're done. That's where it ended. That's no more. I'm not gonna mess with that. Yeah.
Robert thinks he was paid off.
So Robert thinks he's paid off.
He does.
I can't. I don't see it. Um.
He hasn't been paid more than 90 grand to do it. Because I'll be like, you got to give me a little bit more than this.
Well, listen. I can understand what Robert and others are saying because, um, well, what I can't explain is why the bishop does not have a lawyer to defend this case.
Right.
Because they're asking for over $1 million in punitive damages. So why
Oh,
risk that? And he certainly has the money. I can't imagine someone with millions of dollars and stuff. He certainly has money to retain a lawyer. And honestly, yeah, he has money to retain a lawyer.
well,
I don't understand why he would
I don't,
not.
maybe not. We don't know if he has liquid assets. Like he's got assets, but liquidity could be an issue because he still owes some contractors on the
Mm-hmm.
actual home he owns in Paramus. It's like 300, it's like
Mm-hmm.
335,000 or something like that. I don't know, but maybe he didn't retain counsel because he just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't afford it because he's not liquid.
I, I
Now, if he got rid of if he sold the Rolls Royce and some jewelry.
I'm of the opinion that with your, you know, psychological diagnosis of him, that he's just of the opinion his money is for him.
He's entitled. Yes,
Yeah, my money,
narcissists
just my
are
money is for me to get clothes, houses, cars, and clothes. It's like one of those songs. But
right.
that money is not for a lawyer. That money is not for making my church look good. That money is not for a backdrop and lighting
It's
for
for
my
him.
church. It's for me and my family. I guess he
Not
shares it with
even
his family.
narcissists are very selfish and they are
Mm-hmm.
entitled.
Mm-hmm.
So they're unable to show empathy or understand that you're not entitled to this. This is wrong. Like their
Yeah.
conscience is seared. They will do things and in the midst of observable reality and everyone around them could
Mm-hmm.
be saying, "Hey, this is wrong." They will go down with the sinking ship
Mm-hmm.
defending themselves and defending their name despite the writing on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Nay brings up a very interesting point. I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
she or the son are suspects for the robbery. I didn't even think about that. Normally, in
Yeah.
my
Well.
SVU mind, I
mm.
would have come up with that, but nay, that's
Listen.
interesting.
Listen. This is what I'll say, April. With all of this stuff coming out, I've heard the bishop say the police call him every day. The mayor's checking on him. The police need to look at this broadcast. The police need to understand that this man is a liar.
Mm,
He's lied last night with Fat Joe, talking about he doesn't know this lady. He's a fraud with respect to, when I say fraud, he's misrepresenting things and leading people to believe things. That's what I mean. I don't know if he
mm,
defrauded this lady, but he's lying about this lady. Okay, he's misrepresenting things and trying to lead people in the wrong direction. That's what I mean by fraud. Okay.
right.
So allegedly. So if he wants to try to sue me, that's my opinion. You're lying
Mm,
and trying to persuade people to believe you. I think that's fraudulent. That's what I mean. That's my opinion. I don't have
right.
any adjudication of that. But anyway, so I think the police need to look into this robbery. He's not smart because of what he did last night. I can tell he's not that smart.
Most narcissists aren't.
Yeah.
They feel inadequate, and they definitely feel inferior. So they have to all the showmanship, the
Mm-hmm.
grandiosity. They have to do all of that because they're overcompensating for the deficiencies that they
Mm-hmm.
have, and they don't tend to be very smart. Like they do things that you're like, this is so dumb. Why are you doing this? And in
Mm-hmm.
their mind, they'll find a way to rationalize it.
I see that. And with him being a documented liar, the police should investigate this as a possible false police report and even maybe charge him with that and subpoena his phone records and things of that
Mm,
nature. Because if he had anything to do with these criminals, he's contacted them, on his phone or in some
that's
way. So yeah, so this should be investigated. But
it.
again, I think he all of this money, he has money. He just doesn't want to spend it on defending against that lawsuit, which is going to hurt him. I do believe the lady's going to get her money back. And if she calls me, she's going to get her money back. I believe
And then
because
some.
because of his representation of helping her with her credit, she can get that money back plus attorney's fees. So that's my take on it.
Sister Anderson, you better call Brian, the credit lawyer girl. You better call him.
And
You better
everybody
call
else,
Saul, not
everybody
Saul.
else, don't give the bishop money for your credit. Just get my book and you can do it yourself.
Right. 4 Steps to Better Credit is available on Amazon now. I can't remember if I put it in the description, but I will toward the culmination of this show. Somebody says she called Ponda. She wanted to
There you go. Put that on there. There you go.
cannot with y'all.
I like that.
And he said, I have a feeling that the robbery thing is going to fall apart and he's going to retain a lawyer. He needs to, because I listened to him on Fat Joe's live
Mm-hmm.
where Fat Joe asked if the jewelry was insured.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, first he refused to answer the question and said
It's
that was a
legal.
legal matter. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
sir, insurance is not a legal matter. You either have it or you don't. Then he backtracked and was like, well, you know what, Joe, because I like you, I'm going to tell you. And he said, all of the jewelry was not insured. Maybe only 2 or 3 pieces
Mm-hmm.
were insured. And so my insurance background kicked in. I'm like, wait a minute. You live, I don't, it's a house in Paramus, 4 million or 2 million. I can't remember.
Two.
But if it's valued like that,
Mm-hmm.
that is considered a high value dwelling, which means their standard run of the mill policy is not on that property. He's got a specialty policy, probably with Chubb. Chubb is probably one of the foremost companies that underwrite policies like that, or like a Berkshire Hathaway, and they already have built into the policy certain provisions for jewelry. And you have on premises coverage and then you have off premises coverage. And then he mentioned in the live, I did some switching up and I didn't want, I interpret that as, does that mean you recently acquired some of the pieces and that's why they didn't have coverage? Because furthermore, these policies have provisions that for newly acquired pieces that have not been named on the policy, they give you a certain amount of time. They give you coverage until you've had time to call the company like, hey, just got this new, Chanel bracelet. This is this is where I bought it from. Here's all my documentation, so forth and so on. So he just, because he's a narcissist and he likes to talk, he was just shooting himself in the foot. And I was like, if you don't shut up, be
Mm-hmm.
quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't. Somebody said call April and Ponder right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope I hope this lawyer, he certainly is not going to heed my unsolicited advice, but I hope he gets it together and wins the case for her. Unfortunately, well, I hope he gets the punitive damages because you're going to need more money so that when he takes his cut, the lady can get her money back. Since he's not sure and he doesn't see how the consumer claims that allow for attorney's fees,
Right.
how they apply. If you don't see how something applies and someone is saying they do apply, why not take a quick listen? So now, dear Walt Christian, if he wants to talk, I'm gonna tell him to schedule an appointment for $400
Yeah, you can. And if you
at
if
this
you've
point.
been wanting to participate in this live
Yeah,
chat by leaving a comment and you haven't, it's because you have to be subscribed, at least on my channel. So I am trying to
subscribe.
encourage people to subscribe to the content. It's great content. I'm not just saying it because I make it, but every show that I do, I'm very intentional. I think about my audience, even if we're covering something that's not necessarily related in the Christian sphere, I am always going to say, what does God's word have to say about this? What can we learn from this? There's value to be gained from a situation like this. One, to test all things and to be discerning. And two, you desire for this lady to get her money back. I have that same desire, but even more than that, my desire is to see Bishop Whitehead and churches like him closed. And it's not to be mean but because he preaches a false gospel or an anemic gospel that's geared toward meeting the intrinsic felt needs, such as the prosperity. He flaunts his wealth in front of the congregation in a way that is incredibly unbalanced. And he mishandles scripture. He
Mm-hmm.
in the Fat Joe live,
Mm-hmm.
he totally took out of context Isaiah 6, applied it to himself as if he was the man with unclean lips, and
Mm-hmm.
the coals from the altar get placed on his mouth to consecrate him for the ministry. I
Should we
mean,
should we play that part or no?
you have it?
Yeah. Yeah, I have the clip.
Yeah, let's play that if
Let
you
me
have
see.
it. It was horrible, you guys. The question was basic. Fat Joe. Now, here's my issue. You are a pastor. You've been given the world stage. I get it. You know, you've heralded yourself as the pastor to the rappers. Great. You're on his show and he asked a basic question. He said, what is it? How do you become a pastor? Like, do you just have to read the word, the Bible more than most people? Is there a class? Like, how does one become that?
Mm-hmm. So
He couldn't even give a biblical response. You have it?
can I can I just send you the link
Yeah.
and you do the YouTube and go to your 37-minute mark because
Yes, let's do that. Send
that's
it to
where it
me
is.
in WhatsApp. There we go. I got it.
And I think you said it was 37-minute mark.
I did, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm about to go pop it in.
There's a lot of scriptures. I really have to go look at these scriptures that he's citing.
You do.
And,
You
and
do. Is this it? No. Hold on. What Chrome tab did I pop it in?
oh, you know what? The one I sent you, you may have
Oh,
to
I found it. Wait, did I find?
you may have to click watch full video and then go to 37.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I found it. Okay, I was
Mm-hmm.
looking right at it. Give me a second. Here it goes. 37. 30.
Okay, full screen.
Wait, you sent me our video from
You know,
earlier today.
oh, oh,
You mean the original?
oh, yeah, get out of that then. Yep. Oops.
Was it this one?
Yes.
Let's see. Hold on.
That's it. One from yesterday, is that it?
This isn't the one with Fat Joe.
Yeah, it's in there
Oh, here it
all.
goes.
Yeah.
Before that,
Okay. Let's move
37
this
minutes.
to
and it says simplify. That's what he said to me while I was out there. When I got out of there, I felt great. Felt like I cleansed myself, and I wrote it. It's on the board here. Right? And I never write nothing on the board. That's how powerful.
It's echoing.
I got a friend that's fighting for his life.
And I've been praying for him too, Jeff. I've been praying for him.
mute your mic because I mute
I'm
mine
muted. I'm
and
muted.
that helps. And let me
Unmute.
push it. Right. Okay.
I got you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I told
Yeah.
I said pray for my brother Jeff. And I've been praying for him hard. And I went out there, and I start praying. And so when I tell you what I keep trying to ask you is, I know you've been going to church and you went before that. Was there a moment, just so I can know, okay? Was there a moment that you felt like, okay, I'm gonna be a bishop?
Guys, is that audio quality really bad? Is it like a really bad echo? Leave a 1 if it sounded okay, but leave a 2 if you're like the audio quality is bad. Because on my end, the bishop sounds fine. Fat Joe does sound like a little like he's far away, But for the most part, so it sounded okay. Brian, it's you. You sure you don't have it open in another window somewhere?
Oh, okay. No,
That
go
could
ahead.
be
Go right
it.
ahead. Okay.
Okay. See, you can't live without me.
I'm gonna be up because obviously you from the street, you cut from the Brooklyn, you did your time like a man. You came back and you went to the church. How does someone say, "I'm going to church. I'm going to be a preacher. I'm going to be a pastor"? Is it like a class, a course? Is it like you study the Bible more than somebody else? Like what qualifies someone as a pastor, a bishop? Like how do you? Can Fat Joe come tomorrow and say,
Well, it's not that easy, but let me tell you this, Joe. It's simple. You just got to say one word, yes. You got to say one word to God and say yes. And the Bible says, and this is what you need to read. You need to read Isaiah chapter 6. The Bible says that God says from the throne, he says, who shall we send? And Isaiah said, send me, I'll go. And the Bible talks about how the cherubim, the seraphim, which is a praying angel, took one of the fires off of the altar and put it in his mouth. And the Bible said that the coal burnt off of all of the iniquities because he was around a lot of sinful people. So at the end of the day, Joe, there's a process to being a pastor, and you have to understand. You have to look at what I'm going through. What I'm going through is an attack by the enemy. There's something called the spirit of perversion. Okay, and the perversion is to destroy and distort God's original intent.
Y'all, help me understand. If you're familiar with Isaiah 6, did that answer the question? No. And he took the opportunity to make it about himself and starts talking about the spirit of perversion. I actually agree. You are absolutely right. This is about the spirit of perversion because you've literally perverted the office of pastor. He's perverted the qualifications of one. I mean, actually just straight abandoned um the qualifications because he just, I guess, labeled himself one, but he butchered Isaiah 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, you are unqualified. You shouldn't be in anybody's pulpit. You need to sit down. Sit down, sir. You just because you can be a charismatic speaker and move the crowd. I mean, you can go be a rapper if you can do that. But a pastor, you are not. That was Thank you. It was absolutely awful to answer. And it was a great question. He had the ear of the unbelieving world listening, and he was unable to provide a solid, credible biblical answer. That was word salad. I was just like, what? That is not how how one is determined to if they qualify for the office. Nothing. Anyway, yeah, he says, "Your good question, Joe. Answer not so much."
Joe did a great interview, pulling that out of him. Joe got the tough questions answered about the insurance,
Did
about what qualifies you to be a pastor, and that was a horrible response. But I really like Joe's approach. He's actually a great interviewer, in
really
my opinion. April, yeah, yeah.
right.
You didn't see that? I see it. I mean, when you can get these tough questions answered, that's great. I
I
think Joe did
saw
a great job.
his method and way he did it was to
Hmm.
identify with him.
Yes,
So
he
he
did.
told the story right before y'all started. I played it. Joe was telling the story how he was in St. Martin on the beach
Hmm.
and how he just feels like when he's on the beach, right, he has like a moment of clarity. And he didn't say, the Lord told him, but he was like, while I'm out there, I hear what did he say? He mentioned like 3 words of basically putting his priorities in order, and he made a few other statements, and he did that to kind of draw Whitehead in to say,
Hmm.
now when I'm out there, this is what I perceive and how I felt like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You tell me, how does one become a pastor? And he put the ball in his court to give him an opportunity to talk. And they, like I said, these false teachers, these wolves, they always tell on themselves. They love to talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they always do tell on themselves.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. And if you have time, perhaps you can
No, he didn't answer the question, sis. He did not.
right, maybe play, these are both just 1 minute clips
In the same video?
about, well, I can give you the exact link to it. About this one is about, well, there's one about the insurance question, and then there's one about the church lady. We don't know
Okay.
her, just so we can sort of document what we talked about earlier, because some people may watch this and not take the time, to cross-reference,
Right.
excuse me, to
If you
see
have the link, you
what we're
want to
talking
send
about.
it, or is it
Yep,
in here?
I just sent it. So
Here,
this
I
one is
got
about the question of were these pieces insured. So it's going to go just to that clip.
Right. Okay. Give me one quick second.
Excuse me.
Is that
Let's share that one.
elephant in the room is, was the jury insured?
Joe, I can't get into that league. That's legal. I can't get into that, Joe. I can't get into that, man. That's for legal purposes. Huh?
Mine is
Yeah, Joe, you crazy, man. Huh?
outside. Because we outside. So my jury, Joseph Carter Jr.,
right,
is insured.
No, I can't answer. But you know what? You know what, Joe? I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna answer for you, Joe. Right? Because you my bro, right? The majority of the pieces was not insured. The majority of the pieces were not insured, and the majority of because I had just changed up and bought some new, and I have time to insure it. So about 2 pieces was insured.
Which is the elephant in the room is, was the jury insured?
So that's it. It loops. Yeah.
Right. So as you heard, he starts laughing, saying he can't get into it because it's a legal matter. And I'm like, do you think people are stupid? Sir, insurance is not a legal matter. Either you have it or you don't. But then he ultimately does answer it, and we finally get out of him. Because Joe is like, we're outside. We ain't in the house. We're out. So my stuff is insured. Is your stuff insured?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So Mary asked the questions, does Joe pursue it or just accept the nonsense? So again, I understand what Joe is doing. Joe did not press after he gets the response, which may look like Joe accepting it, but that's not necessarily the case. If Joe were to press and challenge what he's saying, he may not get the next question answered. So Joe did a great job. So if you look at the interview, Joe just moves on. He's really non-responsive to some of the stuff that's being said and moves on and really pushes this interview forward and let the bishop think he's saying something and doing something and that he's
in good faith.
He's in good faith and all this stuff. So I really like what Joe is doing, and that may be natural for Joe. I don't know if he's a trained interviewer, but he may be a natural people person. I mean, he's an entertainer, but he did a great job, Joe, in my opinion. Now, he didn't press, but again, if you press, you may not get, another interview. You may not get the questions answered. So Joe did a great job, in my opinion. But yeah, he did not press
right
at all. So this next clip is about the lady that lost her $90,000.
Okay.
Thing out there that says that I stole $90,000 from a parishioner. Now I have I have my ministry up here. Everybody that's in my ministry, have you ever saw or ever heard of that lady? Y'all know the lady that they said that Bishop took 90,000 from. And I want y'all to see. Have y'all ever heard? And if you go to my my Instagram, and I did it during my morning service, I said, have y'all ever heard of this woman? And he said, no, she's not a member of my church. She's not a member of my church, but I'm plastered everywhere that I took $90,000 from a parishioner of my church. And everybody, look, you're going to see the nose coming up because this is my church. We don't know her. We don't know her. Okay? And this is the picture that they paint about me.
We don't know her.
Mm-hmm. We don't know her.
Why are you talking about we?
Well,
the church didn't
first,
take $90,000 in the church's bank account.
Deflection.
It was deposited.
Deflection. The deflection was, I don't talk about whether I know her or not. Y'all know her. And then the deflection, he ended up messing himself talking about, y'all don't know, my people don't know her. It's not about them. It's about you. And talking about we don't know her. Again, it's deflection. It's Joe groomed him. Joe had him real comfortable. Y'all just don't understand. Y'all press 1 if you think Joe did a great job, because
Joe did.
I don't know if y'all, I don't know. I read a lot of books on negotiation. Joe pulled out Bishop. The police don't need to interview Bishop. They just need to look at these interviews.
Yes.
Bishop can't help himself. I'm not qualified to diagnose him as a narcissist and all these things like that.
I am.
But the bishop can't help himself. He's out here interviewing, making statements about crimes, about this insured jury, about this lady that he took money from. You don't know her, but you just text her and took her life savings.
Right.
Text her multiple times. These phone records can be pulled. Just because you delete them on your phone does not mean that they're gone.
Right.
So but Joe, I mean, if I see Fat Joe, I'll be like, man, you do a great job.
Right.
So, right. He'll be on a Breakfast Club next. Okay. That's a good point, Chicken Grease.
Narcissists they do a lot of projecting, a lot of gaslighting.
Okay.
It was just amazing to watch him in action.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he's been on Tasha K's show.
Mm-hmm.
He's been
that was a good show.
In his mind, he is so detached from reality that he thinks all of these appearances are a good thing. Because this is the narcissistic supply. Basically, y'all, I am giving y'all nuggets. I'm working on a narcissism series, biblically examined, right? We're examining that pathology from a biblical perspective. And he is like my next textbook case. Because he is literally doing everything in the narcissistic playbook, the gaslighting, the projecting, everything he's claiming everyone else is doing. It's what he's doing. He's the victim. Oh, woe is me. That's the thing with the narcissist, any kind of attention, whether it's good, bad, negative, it doesn't matter. They love it. They actually crave it. And without it, they're always looking for new supply. So you watch him in the Instagram video when he was talking about the block of the apartment complex that he bought. And it goes on and on. Yeah, man, show me this way. Like he says the quiet part out loud, where he's like, no, point the camera this way so they can see me showing you. Look at me. Look at what I just did. He can't make much of Christ. There's not enough room in that pulpit for him, his ego, and he's going to be brought so low. And most people, when they see behavior like this, they're just like, why won't the Lord stop him? The Lord stops people like this in his timing because he is sovereign, right? We just have to sit back, right? And just kind of watch it play out. You just watch it play out. I'm calm. I'm sorry.
It's a lot, April. It's a lot. And like I said,
watch him.
I can understand what you're saying. This bishop is going to go down hard because not only because of this lady, there's been reports, and I haven't corroborated any of this, that a lot of the property he just purchased, even at Connecticut property, for example, April, is in default. So he's going to lose a lot of things because he doesn't believe in paying other people, just wants to keep the money for himself. He gets these properties some kind of way, but it's not clear if he actually pays on them. So a lot of things is like the house of cards is going to crumble, in my opinion. I don't wish that on anyone, but when you take advantage of people, you're a bishop, a person of spiritual leadership allegedly, and do these things, I don't think it's going to end well, especially when you start lying publicly. I can understand the flashiness, but now you're lying about what you're doing to people, your parishioners, people that do attend your church, and now you're defaulting with banks. Allegedly, we have to look into that, and we'll talk about that. But I don't think it's going to end well. I think it's going to circle back to him, and these police need to stop calling him every day and need to start investigating him every day. How about that?
Right.
To see what's really going on here.
I remember him saying that he was unlawfully
Convicted and all this.
convicted.
Mm-hmm.
In true narcissistic fashion, they don't take personal responsibility for anything.
Nothing. Right.
And even when they do apologize, it's like you heard the saying, they pee in the bed and then blame the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
He did that in his apology. I mean, because he did that interview with Larry Reed and it went off the rails and he kind of showed out. But they don't accept responsibility for their actions. So the whole, when he got locked up, was it back in 2006? That was everybody else's fault. He was framed. They falsified evidence. Nothing is ever, you know what? I was a wicked sinner, dead in my sin, and I was chasing after what this world could offer me. And I lost. I fell on my face. There was no contrition. You didn't hear any of that. You didn't hear any of that. And you're not going to get them. They fail. A narcissist, unless the Lord sovereignly does something to change them, they very rarely ever change.
No, he's not going to change.
They don't repent. They are unable to see their own sin. They literally cannot see it. That's why if you're like, hey, okay, here's the scripture right here that you violated right here. They're just like, I have no sin. I didn't do that. That's not what happened. And you just flip it and deflect. And you'll just be like, wait, what just happened? No. We're talking about what you did. No. They're very skilled at the art of deflection and gaslighting. That's what you see here. That's what you see here.
So Larry Reed baited him and he swallowed the lure. Well, that was a mess, that whole interview.
But you have to remember, for the narcissist, they crave the attention. They need it. It's narcissistic supply for them. So yes, of course he took the bait. The temper, they lack self-control, which makes him unqualified for this office. He's unable to control himself. The flashiness, the grandiosity, for him, it comes out in the clothing and the cars, because for him, that's validation. He has to keep up with the Joneses, and he'll never have enough. His appetite will never be satisfied. Never. And they surround themselves with people who amen their foolishness and sin. Right. So he's got a church full of women who affirm him. They call him bishop. He's the chief. No, he's actually at his church the chief apostle.
Oh, is that right?
The fact that the office of apostle, capital A, is closed, but he has titled himself the chief apostle.
Wow. Right.
And so, right, chicken grease, any attention is good attention from the narcissist perspective. Like, to him, he's just like, what? Bad press? What bad press? The world is talking about me. I'm on everybody's lips right now. But they don't see that, but not because we're heralding you as a hero. It's because you're doing people dirty. They don't care. They don't care who they hurt. They do not care.
Well, April, I hope everyone sees this and pressures. The public pressure is necessary to force this man to give this lady her money back.
Right.
Unless, if he can buy a property, fix it up, and give her some change, that's impossible. I mean, April, we can't do that. You can't do that
Not in New
in
York. You
any
can't even
metro
do that in
city.
rural Alabama.
There's not a metro city, especially not New York City,
Mm-mm.
where you can for $90,000 buy a house, fix it up, and give somebody their change back. It's just impossible. So just give the lady her money back. It's just the right thing to do. That's where the pressure needs to be, not to find these robbers. That needs to be investigated. Check his phone records. Subpoena his phone company. And go through all these numbers and figure out which one of them,
He may have burner
who's
numbers.
who, huh?
He may use burner numbers. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know, but focus on getting these people their money back. I mean, his jury is insured, as he said, the pieces that he wanted insured, and like April said, if he got some new pieces and they were not insured, there was a window of time where it could have been covered. So anyway, the focus should not be on him, because allegedly just his jewelry was taken. Is that right? I don't know if anyone.
No, his wife's.
Oh, his wife's.
Was it her earrings and some other?
Oh,
but
okay.
they didn't rob anyone else in the church.
Just
but he
the
keeps
family.
alleging
Okay.
that his church was victimized. And it was like, no, you
Just
were
you.
victimized.
You and your wife.
Just y'all. But I would encourage the listening audience to know you saw it here first. There are a lot of YouTube content creators that are addressing this, but I don't know anyone who had a guest on their show that corresponded with the plaintiff's attorney. You saw it here first. If you don't share this video for no other reason, Brian Ponder gave you guys the inside business to help you understand the legal issues surrounding why it looks like the bishop is winning, but he really didn't win, and how there is still hope for Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
If her counsel would have humbled themselves, or maybe if we share this far and wide, maybe she might get wind of it and she might call you. I don't know. I hope she does.
The bishop needs to get that lady her money back. Stop. Just stop. I mean, Baby Glad's not my mother. Where's Rashid?
Right.
Where's the son? Justice? Rashid, you need to be in front of the bishop. Like, give my mother her money back.
Right. I mean, dude, Whitehead maybe weighs about $1.55 wet. I don't know.
Now he used to be, according to Tasha K's some interview. What interview was that? Oh, with Fat Joe. He used to be boxing in jail. He used to be 195 and strong and bench pressing 400 pounds. I don't know what he's doing now, but
I don't know.
But I don't think this needs to get physical. But Rashid, you set this up with your mom. Why don't you go back to Bishop? Like, Bishop, what's up? Where's Rashid? Bring Rashid on the show. Where's this son that set all this up? Do I need to contact him? I'm gonna call Rashid. I'll tell you that.
Are you really?
Somebody send me Rashid's number so I can contact Rashid.
You know what? I'm
gonna call the son tomorrow. I'm going to find this son and be like, dude.
Right. Kia says just Ecclesiastes 7:8. Just give it some time. Yeah.
Okay.
The Lord, he sees all and he knows all. I believe the bishop is being exposed. And this just separates counterfeit Christianity from genuine Christianity. Christians don't behave like this. They don't move like this. They don't even speak like this. He's a fraud. His ministry is a fraud. It's just fraudulent behavior all the way around. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, final thoughts are anyone that's in New York, put the pressure on this bishop to get this lady her money back. Rashid, where are you? Come on, April show. Let's talk about what you're doing to undo. You set your mother up with this man. What are you doing? Because for all we know, maybe there's something in progress that we don't know about.
Maybe.
Help us out, because we're putting energy into trying to help this lady get her money back. What's going on? Maybe there's something going on that we don't know. But final thoughts is, y'all, if it sounds too good to be true, just don't do it. And as far as credit and buying real estate, look, credit, get this book. As far as real estate, get with a real estate professional. Don't get with these bishops that are riding around saying, "Oh, you can't get a house. Give me your money. I'll get you one and get some change. It was too good to be true from the start, and it's too good to be true now. So don't go for it.
Right. It doesn't even make sense. I don't understand. The math didn't make sense to me. So
Yes, it just doesn't.
it didn't make sense. Right.
But thank you
Last
for having me.
You are welcome. I appreciate you allowing me to live stream on your channel as well. I think your audience can definitely benefit from. Brian is one of the greatest legal minds of our generation. He's not even that old, but from the moment I met him, I was like, "That boy's gonna be a star one day."
Well, thank you.
We've known each other for a very, very long time, and he's a really good friend of our family. And so I respect his legal expertise, and he knows what he's talking about. And so, the plaintiff's attorney missed out on a lot of claims that he loved and left some money on the table. So go back and watch the replay if you missed it. We go through the case. We actually go through the email exchange between Mr. Ponder and the plaintiff's attorney Peter, discussing the case. He tried to take the conversation offline into a phone call. That didn't happen. So you guys get to see that exchange and hopefully use it as a learning opportunity for you. Thank you to our sponsor of the evening, Echoes. Standard of Truth podcast is my discount code if you'd like to get free shipping. All you got to do is add 2 shirts, and everything on the site is on sale. You add 2 shirts to the cart, pop in my code, Standard of Truth podcast. I think it's Standard of Truth podcast. Maybe it's just Standard of Truth. I can't remember. Y'all, I'm old. I don't know.
So Susie Q is having a baby. Talking about drivers, girl, give us your address. We'll Uber you to the hospital. Stop trying to drive. Give me a break.
Oh my gosh, you're in labor?
I will pay for your Uber. Please do not try to drive.
No, Susie, don't do that. What time does he get off? Well, just labor at home as long as you need to, right? Like, I'm talking, when I say labor at home, as long as you need to, like, baby head by the crown, then you can go to the hospital.
Oh, okay. Early labor.
You
Okay,
start. Okay.
Oh, she's number 4. She knows what she's doing.
Oh yeah, she's got this. She can deliver a baby. I said, my baby, he or she's here. What time
congratulations. Good luck with everything.
I am so happy for you, Susie Q. Congrats. Please keep us posted on the next live. Well, no, you're gonna be busy maybe nursing and changing diapers, so we might not see you for a while. But congratulations. She is such a faithful subscriber of mine. I'm very glad to have her. I don't take any of my subscribers for granted. So thank you. All right. Well, I'm about to go and in my broadcast, and I guess Brian, you're gonna end it on your end.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Good night, you guys.